All right, good morning or good afternoon, everyone. I hope that you are all happy and healthy and with more aspects of our daily lives resuming activity all across the country. I hope everyone continues to stay vigilant and conscious of the simple things we can do to help stop the spread of COVID and keep all of us nice and healthy and resuming with our daily lives. For those of you that don't know me yet, my name is Jared Tunn, and I'll be one of your co-hosts today. I am the channel manager for Canpango, focused solely on our partners in the Intelisys ecosystem. It looks like we won't be seeing each other in person for the foreseeable future, but I do really hope that we can meet or see each other again in person soon. I also want to introduce my teammate and co-host, Dan Nolan. Dan is one half of our amazing solutions engineering team. He spent his first couple years at Canpango as a senior business analyst on our delivery and implementation team. So he's experienced projects of all sizes and scopes, and now helps with our sales team to determine detailed, appropriate scopes and estimates on all of our opportunities. He's 4 times certified on the Salesforce platform, and once again is here to help me talk through some great case studies and success stories in the later half of today's webinar. So Dan, thanks again for helping me co-host.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jared. Appreciate it.
Always. Make sure to utilize the Q&A tab if you have any questions. We'll make sure to get to any at the end if we can't address them right away. A recording will be sent out and also posted to our YouTube page, so keep an eye out for that if you have to hop or if you want to review this or send it to someone else. We're always looking for ways to improve our engagements with our partners. Really, we are. So please don't hesitate to provide feedback as well. We're always looking to make sure that we're making these types of webinars and anything that we really do directed with our partners as enabling and useful for you guys as possible. So with that, going over a few things today, how Community Cloud's on-demand support function enhances customer enablement, how Community Cloud can serve as a partner portal, how it strengthens the agent experience, endorses loyalty programs, and then with Dan's help, applying some of those real-world Community Cloud use cases, which can help you use those going forward in your talk tracks. Let's face it, now is a great time to talk to customers about solutions that help empower the overall customer experience by providing robust tools that help customers and partners address questions, requests, and issues outside of traditional omnichannel methods, as well as provide access to powerful analytics tools through the Salesforce platform. So let's get started. Real quick overview of Canpango. We're headquartered in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Have offices in Atlanta, Chicago, New York, and a bunch of people spread across the country remotely. We have a great team of experts with over 100 Salesforce certifications currently. And I think this is old news at this point, but we are part of the ScanSource family now after our acquisition almost 2 years ago now. Our industry focuses are listed here, but not limited to this. This is just where the bulk of our almost 1,000 projects that we've completed to date lie. And our core products that we really focus on and our core services, which I'm sure if you've been on previous webinars or on previous calls with us, we've gotten more into that. We won't really get too deep into that today since we want to focus on Community Cloud, but I'm obviously always willing to hop on the call or answer any questions you have via email or messaging. Just let me know. And we're here to help you guys really provide that full suite of CX solutions. We have a great Rolodex of suppliers in this channel, but we really try and help you guys close that last little loop with the ProServe piece when it comes to CRM. And we want to help you expand your selling power into different business units, especially if you traditionally have mostly been engaged with CIO or if there's a director of telecom, perhaps. When you talk CRM projects, you really need to get every stakeholder's ear and opinions. And that involves generally operations, marketing, finance, customer service. So we want to help expand your conversations into that entire C-suite and just help enable you to make yourself even stickier. And obviously, at the end of the day, we're also going to help you make more money. So as sub-agents, you're the trusted technology advisors that grows and maintains those close relationships with your customers. Like I mentioned, perhaps traditionally you've been mostly providing telecom or networking infrastructure solutions and services. Regardless, you're familiar with the many fantastic supplier partners that we have access to in the Intelisys channel and the role that they play. But what part does Canpango play? At Canpango, we really see ourselves as an extension of our partners' team. We're the trusted Salesforce experts that you work with when those needs happen to present themselves. So we're going to work closely with you from that introduction process to the customers, through the pre-sales process, and keeping you updated on throughout that implementation itself so that you're in sync with both us and your customer. We work closely with Salesforce, obviously, on the customer's needs when that licensing is already in use. And when we're discussing new licensing, we're going to bring Salesforce in at the appropriate time, and we're going to advocate for the customer for the appropriate products, level of licensing, and making sure that all their expectations are met. Oftentimes, customers might expect to get the functionality they see out of, a great, robust demo that they might see for the price of what really would be a basic stand-up. So we really help try to manage those conversations and head them off early. And for you guys, how do you get paid? That's an important question, right? I mean, let's face it. How do we get paid? We do all of our work on a time and materials basis. When folks like Dan and our sales team are putting those detailed scopes together, we put together that scope of work for the customer that serves as our contract, and that's going to detail out basically week by week, and Canpango asset, by Canpango asset when we're talking our delivery team members, whether that be business analysts, senior consultants, solutions architects, developers, whatever the scope of that project requires. We're going to build out that grid for them with hours and estimates for what we believe it'll take to get their roadmap done. And we're going to work closely with them in the beginning on that heavy discovery phase to make sure that we're in lockstep and planning that solution with them, not just for them. And you guys are comped 20%, which is past the Intelisys, excuse me, and you are comped on your existing contracts with them. And these are evergreen revenue opportunities. Just to kind of illustrate that here, this is the first deal that we ever did in the channel. This was a small business and insurance provider that we did a paid discovery for that initial 13.5 K deal. That turned into a proof of concept for them that gave them a detailed roadmap to where they wanted to be on the Salesforce platform. And then we did that work with them over the next 5 phases and tacked on a managed services contract at the end to help them manage that Salesforce organization over the coming years. So you really see the ability here to create sizable additional revenues to add to your guys' bottom lines. And any products that we do for the life of us as a company, you guys are going to get comped on those if you bring them to us. So okay, that aside, now that we've talked through the ways that Canpango can not only up your commissions, but provide more streamlined end-to-end solutions for your clients, let's talk about the ever-changing role and demands put on customer service agents. According to SuperOffice, today 67% of customers prefer self-service over speaking to a company representative. I can relate to that myself. I'm sure some of you can. And on top of that, 91% of customers would use an online knowledge base if it were A, available, and B, actually tailored to their needs. 91%. And again, I'm the same way. I want to not have to talk to people if I can avoid it. That's how I prefer my customer service experience. It's becoming more rare when a business has a product or service offering that cannot become fully resolved through a knowledge base or self-service portal. So there's more and more abilities for companies to employ that. Businesses ranging from technology, manufacturing, sports entertainment, insurance, telecom, professional services, and a bunch of others. All of these can benefit from providing a quality self-service portal or knowledge base for their customers and partners. And the agent role is evolving. It really is. More and more often, we see customer service teams being expected to contribute to bottom line revenue. And there's really 4 major reasons for that. Number one, and we've acknowledged this before, I think this is the 3rd time. 3rd time's a charm. Probably going to be a 4th time, let's be honest. Service agents, they're your brand ambassadors. A less common description might ruffle the feathers of some sales associates, but in essence, service agents are relationship managers. They're the negotiators and empathizers that resolve critical issues for customers, oftentimes when tensions are higher. And ultimately, they are the determining factor for the way that your brand's narrative is perceived by customers in every interaction they have. Number 2 here is immediate responders. As consumers, we've been programmed to evaluate a brand journey based on how fast the ambassadors of that brand can respond to, and really resolve all our problems and meet our needs. For a lot of service teams, both essential and non-essential operations are now running 24/7, 365 days a year, Monday through Sunday. So we've been active participants in this in the age of immediacy since mature phone trees and AI chatbots were introduced years ago. In fact, HubSpot consumer satisfaction research recently stated that 90% of customers rate an immediate response as important or very important when they have a customer service question. And what's nuts is that 60% of those customers define immediate as 10 minutes or less. So that means on top of contact centers needing to implement and maintain round the clock service operations, they also need to function as what is our third point here, and that's as an extension of the sales team. Agent teams are now empowering entire sales teams to close more deals faster than ever when technology savvy companies offer them the opportunity to market to existing customer bases in different ways. Let's do a quick example here. So imagine that your PlayStation breaks or your Xbox breaks. You go to Best Buy, get it fixed because that's where you got it. You had a Geek Squad warranty. They say that your PlayStation only needs a quick fix, but if you trade it in for the new edition, they'll allocate some of the dollars in your current PlayStation value to buy your new one. So you know that if you get that new PlayStation, you'll have those additional features, upgrades, you'll see less breakages, which is your original issue. So you trade it in and buy a new one. That's upselling. I'm sure you're familiar with it. Right after the purchase, you walked out of Best Buy and you receive a follow-up email from that same agent that helped you at the Geek Squad with confirmation of your new subscription and a promo code to buy a new limited edition controller for 30% off. Your controller happens to be old and not really working that well anymore, so when you get home you use that coupon and order that new controller. There's cross-selling. At the end of the day, the agents are able to make that happen when they actually have the tools to operate using insights from previous interactions for more informed product recommendations. It's really guided selling, but for your customer service agents. And lastly here, it's the introduction of that self-service piece we're talking about. We're at an inflection point with the types of customer cases an agent could be managing versus a chatbot that lives within a portal or knowledge base. Well, only 64% of customer service teams use customer portals, 84% of customers use them, which means that there's a gap there. And it means that brands that have portals or knowledge bases in service, they're being used very heavily. So a big takeaway for this crowd dialed in today is that this also shows us that there's a lot of market potential to sell portals to customer service teams that don't have them. Let me repeat that. There's a lot of market potential to sell portals to the customer service teams that don't already have them. So remember that. So Community Cloud for end-to-end customers. Last month, we talked about why Sales Cloud is Salesforce bread and butter. And there's a reason why 100,000 well-known companies use it. It gives businesses the customer relationship management foundational components they need to succeed and have an empowered sales team. That's digital transformation 1.0. Community Cloud is 2.0. So say if Sales or Service Cloud is the bedrock infrastructure that supports internal teams like sales, marketing, customer service, IT, etc., Community Cloud takes those other clouds functionalities up a notch by servicing those external to your organization, your end customers. But it typically does so in a non-traditional way, and that's through self-service. So it helps your customers help themselves. And tying back to the service team, Community Cloud helps reduce service calls by guiding customers to knowledge articles and Q&A, helping with escalation of cases, giving more direct access to account data and personal info so that can be updated and changed, and really providing as an extension of that branded experience. Obviously, with AI and bot technology, you can have tons of automated knowledge-based responses, and it really helps also with SLAs and helping those be more readily hit. So a lot of things that really this helps do. And the last point, empowering customers to leave testimonials and referrals directly within the portal. That's really one of the key differentiators that makes Community Cloud such an important part of a business's tech stack. And it's the part of Salesforce that when you customize it correctly with a partner like us, it acts as that chameleon of your website and extends itself with an identical look and feel. The only catch is it's the user experience and interface developed in a way that's geared towards that customer. Let's quickly switch gears here. Whether you're in marketing, sales, service, again, IT, quality assurance, whichever, they provide ways for employees who are not part of your leading CRM user groups to interact with all the data housed in Salesforce via that Community Cloud. So big brownie points to Salesforce on this next point. employees who are using Community Cloud can gain access to the types of data I just described without having to shell out dollars for full Salesforce licenses. By giving employees access to the platform, you're breaking down silos to promote collaboration or knowledge sharing. And not to mention, if you have a client that uses an intranet platform like Pro, Appio, Jive, whichever, there's hundreds out there. I bet, you know, uh, regardless, any of those. So I go as far as to make an assumption that no dedicated resource has been allocated to updating those. And a lot of companies, no one's really reading that material internally unless it's a nice updated usable interface. According to a survey conducted by Prescient Digital Media, only 13% of employees report using their intranets on a daily basis, while almost a third admitted that they had never used it at all. In past jobs, I can relate to that. That's a really crazy discrepancy, but companies that have never stopped believing that online learning resources or online access to HR policies is integral. They continue to believe that it's for career development programs or corporate education as well. So with features like groups, files, topics, chatter, and others, Community Cloud can stand as that pillar for maintaining the workforce's everyday tasks. And better yet, it could help boost productivity and innovation, as well as collaboration. And lastly, real quick here, we've gone through how Community Cloud serves customers and employees. Now let's speak to the impact of the final group, that umbrella that each of us and every one of you listening falls under, sales partners. Take a quick mental note. What percentage of your clients have B2B functions and lean on a population of channel partners to help drive sales? Any of your customers, think about that entire base. Maybe even think about it for yourselves if you happen to serve as a master agent in some capacities. If that number is more than zero, if it's one or above, then why not help them explore their needs for a customer community that could impact them in a very positive way. So lastly here, just to really quick tie in contact center. If you're bridging the gap here, bridging the gap to the contact center. So if you're going to pay attention to one slide, this might be a good one, especially if you're heavily into contact center. The next wave of contact center users are asking two big questions. How can we help our customers answer their own questions quickly with minimal agent involvement? And how can we enable our channel partners or VAR partners to take our product or service to market with minimal coaching? And we can answer those two questions by outlining the relationship between Community Cloud and solutions within the contact center space. The point here is that what's typical is that even the most agile contact center solutions that are not integrated with Salesforce still lack some of the necessary features to create a competitive customer experience and partner experience. So let's quickly talk about how Community Cloud bridges the gap for customers. A branded customer self-service portal provides contact center agents with the opportunity to prioritize more sensitive cases that might require human connection. It helps them function in an omni-channel capacity, since the CTI adapter that you partners are selling to integrate with Community Cloud is smart enough to know how to intelligently route a case to the right responder. And that's the CCAS part there. And service agents won't have to lift a finger for cases that can be resolved through that self-service portal. So that obviously in turn increases case deflection. And you can see from the bullet list here, there's numerous ways that Community Cloud can help companies build better connections with their customers and experiences that they have with their brand. And just because one of your clients has aspirations to grow their customer service team, it doesn't necessarily always mean that they want to ramp up their seat count. That can also be incredibly expensive and cost prohibitive. Similar to the first point, Community Cloud can help take the pressures off and time off of support agents and help save your clients tons of money from what otherwise might have been spent on extra agent seats. So without further ado, I really want to pass it off to Dan here. I know that these case studies for me are one of my favorite parts of this foundational series, helping you guys try and get an idea of some real use cases where we come into play and to try and get those gears turning on, where we could possibly play a role in expanding opportunities for you guys. So Dan, with that, why don't you tell us about this great story for EMDs?
Sure. Thanks a lot, Jared. Yeah, like you said, this was a great success story. It's actually a customer we're still working with, but we've just really recently completed our largest phase of the project, which is really combining a couple of different Salesforce orgs. So EMDs is actually a global healthcare software provider. They do electronic health records or electronic medical records software. And that's something that they have offered across a few different product lines, including like practice management, revenue cycle management, credentialing services for physicians. So they have quite a few different software products. It can be kind of complex licensing when they sell it, but really how they go to market is through a pretty vast dealer network. So they have a whole list of VARs that they do business with, that they sell software to, who then resells the software. Or sometimes they'll have end customers that are looking for something that they'll come back to EMDs and look for product information, or would want to sell the product directly on their behalf. So over the years, EMDs, as they've grown as a company, have acquired similar companies to themselves. And so what triggered our project was the most recent acquisition. It was actually a large competitor that had a very similar product line, but enough differences that it was something they were going to continue to offer. And so with that, there were quite a few different challenges. Obviously, they have different VAR networks, and some of these VARs had just from coincidence had already sold both product lines and had worked with both separate companies, which were now coming under this umbrella into one. And so the big challenge that we had was, how do we merge these two Salesforce orgs into one org, one company, basically, to offer these product lines. And some other problems that they've just had in general was a high barrier to entry for the VARs. So getting a VAR educated and spun up and familiar with all of their different SKUs and combinations of licensing was difficult. And then the existing infrastructure was kind of an all or nothing for them, that they would have unrestricted access to their entire product catalog. So if you were letting a VAR sell products, they would have several thousand products to choose from. And there are a lot of duplicates, a lot of very similar product lines. So if you only wanted to sell, let's say, the EMD's products, then you also had access to, they were calling them Richmond products or Aprima products. So that was definitely an issue. So as we went through this org merge and combined the existing Salesforce orgs, we also took a look at the communities. And at the time that we started this project, there were 3 different communities serving the 3 different previous companies or 3 different product lines. And part of that solution for us was to combine that all into one new Lightning community that could serve all different types of VARs. In addition to that, we also brought in some self-help. And so that included knowledge bases and other articles of information where VARs could come and get educated on their own or help solve any questions or problems that they had. We included Service Cloud, so people could log cases for themselves or log cases on behalf of their customers in some cases as well, all done through the customer portal. So that really helped free up the EMD's customer service staff. And then another piece to that was bringing CPQ, Salesforce CPQ, into the community to allow VARs to be able to start quoting their own orders. Previously, they had worked with some of their vendor partner reps that worked within EMDs that would manage these VAR relationships. And anytime a VAR would need to get a quote for something for a customer, they would have to reach out to that rep, get a hold of them. And then it was really the game of telephone between the customer, the VAR, and then the company, and then backwards back to the customer. So by bringing and exposing CPQ into the community, that really allowed the VARs to handle their own quotes and their own ordering process. And part of that solution is that we were able to bring in some restrictions based on the certification that a VAR would have. And so there were different levels of product lines that people could sell. And so if a VAR was certified to sell, let's say 2 out of the 3 product lines, their profile for their community user would allow them access to those 2 product lines. And then they would be able to go into CPQ and quote an order only for the products that they were certified to sell. So really streamlined the quoting and ordering process. It made sure that VARs were able to effectively kind of self-manage themselves and still have the resources and the support that they needed. And so I think it's really led to a much better VAR experience and has led to EMDs being able to manage their VARs and provide better service on their end. So I think it's really been a win-win. And even as we speak, we're still working with this customer. We're taking the community to the next level here in our future phase, where we're going to be managing licensing and software assignment directly through the community. So as a VAR, if you were to buy, let's say 20 licenses of the software, and then you wanted to transfer one of your licenses to an end customer, you would be able to go into the community and assign that end user to one of your licenses that you own. And then the software would be activated and working for that customer without any intervention from EMDs. So it'll be totally automated that the VARs will be able to manage their licenses, which I think is going to be a really big win. Yeah, so that's EMDs. If you want to hop to the next slide here. So this is our international real estate giant that we've talked about on previous webinars. So if you've been a part of that, you've probably seen some of that history, and we've talked about that quite a bit in the past. So this real estate agent has hundreds of thousands of agents across the US and Canada. And part of the challenge there is that their support teams get totally overwhelmed with phone calls, especially if there's ever a problem. If there's some system that they have, like if MLS were to go down or something, the amount of calls that they'd be bombarded with would be overwhelming for their support team. And then following up on issues was also a struggle for them. So sometimes requests would go through a vendor. So like if MLS were to go down, this company doesn't manage MLS, that's a third-party product. And so they would have to open a case then with that third party, and then the resolution may take a day or two. And so following up and knowing to get back to those customers was also challenging for them. And then if there were mass outages or mass messaging that they wanted to get out to these real estate agents in the field, they really struggled with a way to do that communication beyond just a typical email, which can get lost, or people see too many emails, they just ignore them, right? And so part of the solution that we did here was to really bring in Community Cloud for the first time for this customer. We added digital engagement, which brought multiple channels of service, so really alleviating all that phone pressure by providing more digital quick hits like live message chat, text messaging, Facebook Messenger. Those types of things really resolve issues a lot quicker and are more self-help focused. And we've also enabled knowledge for self-help. So again, a lot of these articles on how do I create a listing or how do I do some task, there's help articles that people can just go find the answer themselves versus picking up the phone or having to send in an email. And then we also did set up case submission from the community and case comments. So in this case, if an agent has a question about their status, they could just type a comment, and then those agents would be able to see it on their side from customer support, and vice versa. If customer support gets an update from a vendor, let's say 2-3 days later, the vendor finally responds, they can just post that update on the case. And then the next time the real estate agent logs into the community, they'll see that in their case history in that comment feed. One other thing we did that I think is really impactful was to create a messaging banner on the homepage of the community. And this was just another place for this real estate agent company to post their messaging. So if there was a mass outage or some new product launched or some news for the industry or the company, they could post this on the community, and that would be updates that anyone logging into that community then could see that message. And so it's just another communication avenue. And so really the result of this is now the agents feel much more supported. They have real-time responses. Even if they are doing things the way they always had by just picking up the phone call to get help, if they weren't really with the times of this community, all of these self-help and the community helping other people helps alleviate and take pressure off the service department. So those phone queues have reduced significantly. People are more informed and better supported. So I think it's been a really great success that's really supported hundreds of thousands of agents. So something like Community Cloud can make such a huge impact for a company. And this was a big win for us.
Thanks, Dan. I just love those use cases, especially really looking forward to some of that really cool functionality that's happening in phase 2 of EMDs. And I know the real estate giant here was so happy with our project team that they flew him out to an MLB match in their city. So definitely love telling that story too, and always love getting deeper and hearing more about it. The more of these products we cover. So thank you again. I know we're at time here. I want to be respectful of your guys' schedules today. So again, we'll send out this deck. It'll be on our YouTube page, so you can review as needed. There's qualifying questions here. I'm always willing to get on the call with you, send you the collateral that you might need to help start some conversations. Just don't be shy. Myself, Tom Martin, and Scott Bickley are truly here to help you guys as a channel team at Canpango, and help enable you to open these additional lines of revenue and start these different conversations with your customers. So don't be shy. Have a great rest of your day, great rest of your week, and we'll see you next time.